Good to see you, third grade. How are you? Okay, from our last lesson, we learned that we can use multiplication to find equivalent fractions. So if we had 2/3 as a fraction, we will multiply the numerator and denominator by the same number to get an equivalent fraction. In this case, we multiply the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 2 is 6. So 2/3 and 4/6 are equivalent fractions. Here's another example. Let's multiply the numerator and denominator by 3. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. So, an equivalent fraction of 2/3 is 6/9. Today, we will use division to find equivalent fractions. Let's look at this example. What is the fraction of the shaded parts? It's 6/12. Why? Well, the total parts in here are 12, and I put that in the denominator. The total shaded parts are 6, so I put that in the numerator. Look at this image in blue. What part of that model is shaded blue? It's 3/6. What about this image? What part of that model is shaded orange? It's 2/4. Notice that the shaded parts here in green is the same part of, or is the same size as the shaded parts here in blue, which is the same size as the shaded parts here in orange. These 3 different colored shaded parts represent the same parts of the whole. So they are equivalent fractions. 6/12 is equivalent to 3/6, which is equivalent to 2/4. But there is another way to show equivalent fractions besides models. Let's use division. Let's divide the numerator and denominator by the same number to also get an equivalent fraction. Look at this example here. We have 6/12, and I want to divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. Let's divide it by 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3. 12 divided by 2 is 6. Is 6/12 and 3/6 equivalent fractions? Let's look at the models. Well, there's 6/12. Here's 3/6. They show the same parts of the whole. Yes, they are equivalent fractions. Let's look at another example. Let's divide the numerator here by 3 and the denominator here by 3. So 6 divided by 3 is 2, and 12 divided by 3 is 4. Is 6/12 equivalent to 2/4? Let's look at the bar model to see if it's true. Here's 6/12. Here's 2/4. Yes, they are equivalent. They show, the shaded parts show the same parts of the whole. All right, cool. So this rule works. Can you pause the video and try let's practice number 2 on your own? All right, I'll be waiting. Hi again. Okay, let's check our answers. We're using these models, okay, to show equivalent fractions. So this model and this model show the same parts of the whole that are shaded. Here, in this first model, there's 4 parts shaded and 8 parts total. So the fraction of the shaded part is 4/8. In this model, there's 2 fourths shaded and 4 parts whole. 4 parts in the total. So the fraction is 2/4. Let's do it by division now. This showed an equivalent fraction with the model. Let's show an equivalent fraction with division. Okay, now we have 4/8. Let's divide the numerator and denominator by the same number. It has to be by the same number to show equivalent fractions. Okay, so let's see. Let's divide the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So 4/8 is equivalent to 2/4 right here. Okay. According to the model and according to dividing the numerator and denominator by the same number. Okay, now let's use division to find simplest forms of fractions. Look at this example again. We already did this where we divided 6/12 numerator by 3 and denominator by 3 and we got 2/4. Is 2/4 the simplest fraction equivalent to 6/12? No. You can divide the numerator and denominator of 2/4 by the same number again. There's another number we can divide it by. Can you think about that number? So let's write 2/4 here, and we can divide the numerator and denominator by another number that's the same. We can divide it by 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2. So 2/4 is equivalent to 1/2. 1/2 is the simplest form of 2/4 because let's look at the fraction 1/2. Is there another number I can divide the numerator and denominator by that's the same number? Let's see. I can do 1 divided by 1 and 2 divided by 1. But if I do that, I still get 1/2. There is no other number besides 1 where I can divide the numerator and denominator by, where I'll get a different fraction. Okay, so because there's no other number that I can divide by with the same number further, 1/2 is the simplest form of 2/4. I'm moving that example over to the left here. Okay, it's that same example that we just talked about in the previous slide. Let's look here. Now, is 2/4 the simplest form of 6/12? No, okay, because we know that there's another number that we can divide the numerator and denominator by, right? Because if you look here, we already did it right here, okay? So the simplest fraction equivalent to 6/12 is actually 1/2. Here are some more examples. We have the fraction 4/10. Can you think of a number that's the same that we can use to divide the numerator and denominator by? It has to be the same. It's 2. Let's divide the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. So 4 divided by 2 is what? 10 divided by 2 is what? It's 2/5. And this is in simplest form because, let me see, I can't divide any other number that's the same with the numerator and denominator to get another fraction. Let's see, I can do 2 divided by 2, but I can't do 5 divided by 2, right? I can do 5 divided by 5, but I can't do 2 divided by 5, where I'll get a whole number. Okay, so 2/5 is the simplest form of 4/10. Here's another example. Look at 4/8. What number that is the same can I use to divide the numerator and denominator by? Immediately, I'm thinking of one number, and it's 2. So I'm going to divide the numerator by 2 and the denominator by 2. What is 4 divided by 2? What is 8 divided by 2? Well, I get the equivalent fraction of 2/4. Is 2/4 the simplest form of 4/8? How do we check? Well, let's ask the question, is there another number that's the same number that I can use to divide the numerator and denominator with? Yeah, I think I thought of a number. It's 2 again. So, what is 2 divided by 2? What is 4 divided by 2? It is 1/2. And 1/2 is in simplest form. So 1/2 is in simplest form of 4/8. Here's one more example. Look at this new fraction here. It's 3/9. Can you think of a number that we can use that's the same number to divide the numerator and denominator by? I thought about 3. Let's divide the numerator and denominator by 3. And I get 1/3. And when it's a unit fraction where the numerator has a 1, we'll immediately know that it's in simplest form. Okay, all right, so 1/3 is equivalent to 3/9, and 1/3 is in simplest form of 3/9. All right, it's your turn. Work your brain. Please complete number 3. See you soon. Okay, so let's see here. We're going to divide the numerator and denominator of 4/12 by 2. Let's see what we get. We get 2/6. So 4/12 is equivalent to 2/6. Let's look here. We have the same fraction of 4/12 over here, but we're dividing by a different number that's the same number. Okay, so we're dividing the numerator by 4 and the denominator by 4, and we get 1/3. So 4/12 is equivalent to 1/3. Is 2/6 the simplest form of 4/12, or is 1/3 the simplest form of 4/12? Well, 1/3 is a unit fraction, so I cannot divide the numerator and denominator by another same number where it'll be a different fraction, okay? So this is in simplest form. In addition, let's look at 2/6. I can think of another number that's the same number where I can divide the numerator and denominator by. it is 2. So 2 divided by 2 and 6 divided by 2 gives me the fraction 1/3. So the simplest form of 4/12 is 1/3. All right, way to go. Keep practicing. I think most students have more trouble dividing than multiplying, but with practice, you'll get better and better at it. Okay, so keep working your brain. But don't work too hard. Don't just work. Okay, make sure you include times to play and rest. I want you to work hard, but play hard too, and rest a bit as well. Okay? All right, bye, third grade. I miss you. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend.